Okay, good morning, Chavra. Today is the 25th day of Teves. Happy birthday, my older brother Yitzi. Happy birthday, Yitz. Okay, saw this video last night. I want to share with you that one of the hostages who got out, he said his mother taught him a couple of Tanya concepts just before he was abducted. They had no idea what was going to happen, that he was going to be sitting in Gaza for, hundreds of days in these tunnels. And he said that a lot of times where he was faced with despair, he would lean on this inyan that we're going to discuss and learn today of Mayach Shalit Alalev, that your mind can control your heart and your emotions. And that's what he did. He said in one particular case, they were shuffling him and shuttling him from one tunnel to another, and he ended up in a school and in a classroom. Jack, you're missing the class. Jack, he's in a class. Listen to this story. He's in a classroom. He's all by himself. The guards walked away. And then I guess some civilians noticed him and they started asking him all these questions. And he knew that if he would respond, first of all, they would recognize his accent and he would have to answer their questions. And he didn't know what could set them off. He was very worried. But he said, I leaned into and listened to my mother teaching me this, in my head. I was thinking about the Tanya of the Alter Rebbe, how your mind has to control the heart. And he decided he's going to act like he's not verbal, like he's not, he's not able to speak. So he just made some noises and grunts and he's like he couldn't speak. And after a few minutes, they just walked away like, oh, this guy's crazy. And he, and they left him alone. And sure enough, he ultimately survived. So he was just saying last night, or I guess 2 nights ago, he was at a Chaf Daled Teves Farbrengen of, commemorating the Yortzeit of Alter Rebbe. He was giving thanks to the Alter Rebbe and the teachings of Tanya, including this inyan that we're going to discuss today, that his mother taught him, that really helped him through some of the hardest times, where his mind, thinking about these concepts, allowed him to control his heart and his emotions, where right away, sometimes as people, we react to things. The same day that I saw that, my son sent me this clip that it was very, very funny, actually, where this guy was talking about how he was sitting by the kotel. He was literally sitting by the kotel being recorded on a plastic chair, those white plastic chairs. And he was talking about how kas and anger and temper is something that you should not allow ever to happen. It's something against Torah, v'chulu, v'chulu. And as he's saying it, a fight breaks out behind him. You could see it in the video. Is one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen. Like a fight, literally, guys pushing and shoving and throw one guy through the other guy to the floor. And they keep on like sort of struggling and fighting and wrestling. And this guy was talking about anger and temper and everything. He turns around and he starts to scream, "Stop that right now!" Then he comes back to the camera and he goes, "So as I was saying, you should really control your anger and your temper." So anyways, we got to learn about this Indian. Okay, Perek Tezayin, Perek Tezayin, chapter 16, page 73 in Yechayenu. This is what we're going to talk about today. This is an important service of the Beinani. The essential thing is that your mind, listen, everybody's level of intellect is different. Some people are super smart, brainy geniuses. Other people are simple, but we all understand that we have intellect. As human beings, we could think through a concept. We may not always like it, but we could understand it. And this idea that our mind can control our heart and our emotions is what the Alter Rebbe is going to talk about now. And we do this enable for us to master our desire that a Beinani requires in order to not fall victim to the Yetzer Hara's attacks. When he comes at you and he says, "Try this," oh, I'm sure it's going to feel very good. You say, "No, that's not for me, not for now, and not forever." Sometimes, if this is not what Hashem wants, then I got to stay away from it. And the American dream is follow your heart. What's the saying? For tomorrow we may die. What's the because tomorrow you may die. Basically just live and celebrate and drink and eat and rejoice and be merry, be happy and be merry, for tomorrow you may die. No, that's not the way it works in Yiddishkeit. It's not that you just eat, drink, and be merry. It's whatever Hashem wants us to do, whether it's today, tomorrow, or yesterday, we're going to do it despite how we feel and how it makes us feel. So what do we do? When you think of the greatness of Hashem, when you think about the spirit and knowledge and fear of Hashem, you think of this might sever my connection to Hashem even a little bit. And this knowledge will cause us to turn away from that. From whether it's a biblical commandment, prohibition, or from the rabbis, the rabbinic. And even a minor infraction from the rabbis, we would stay away from. When we contemplate God's greatness and also a love for God, which comes from the right side of the heart. So the first thing is that we don't want to be separated from God in any way. So when we are faced with a decision to make, we think to ourselves, is this going to separate me from Hashem? Then it's not for me. It's not whether I want it or not. Is this part of my service of Hashem? So the first thing is pushing away the things that are not appropriate for me. The second part is, does this enhance my connection to Hashem? And is this a tool for me to continue to love and desire to cleave to Hashem? And it could be the simplest mitzvah, it could be an enhancement of a mitzvah, it could be a kind word, a kind deed, or it could be one of the greatest mitzvahs. Talmud Torah. So now we have to understand an additional important principle when it comes to the service of the Beinani. Shagam im ein yad sichloi v'ruach bevinasei maseges lahoyli davas Hashem v'skalos liboy. Even if one's intellect and understanding are incapable of producing a revealed love Hashem in his heart, I'm told that I have a certain love for Hashem in my heart, but I don't feel it. I'm trying, but I don't feel it. I'm trying to concentrate on davening. I said every word of it, but I don't feel it. And to take it one step further, how do I make it? I don't even feel the basic love. How do I make it into a fiery flame and a desire and a longing and a burning and a passion that's felt in the heart to cleave to God? Instead of feeling that way, instead, the love in my heart is hidden. It's in the mind, it's in the recesses of the heart, but it doesn't come out in a tangible way. So at this point, the Alter Rebbe inserts a note that we're in the gray box on page 75 in the Chayenu, that he says that one's inability to reveal the love in his heart does not indicate a fault in his meditation. You could be doing everything right. The cause may be well inherent in the spiritual root of his soul. This might be his makeup, and there's nothing he can do about it. Doesn't mean it comes from lack of effort and trying. You do your part, and whatever happens, happens. I go, okay, so here's the footnote. Ziggy, the mimer that we're learning Shabbos afternoon. The reason for this is that the person's intellect, the nefesh, ruach, and neshama, the part of his soul, derives from the so-called ibur, conception, and concealment within the supernal understanding, and not from the stage of birth, leida, and revelation, as is known to the students of the Kabbalah. And the mimer that we're learning also from the Alter Rebbe, we talk about how in Golos, the Bnei Yisrael are like the fetus which is in the mother, that the mouth, the ears, the eyes, most of the functions, most of the parts of the body, the organs of the person are non-functional inside the mother. They're still there, but they're just lifeless. So Alter Rebbe is trying to show that the Beinani does have that love, but it's lifeless at this stage. It's in a stage of ibur, conception and maybe even like the fetus, that it's all there, but it hasn't been born yet. But it's still developing and growing. Alter Rebbe goes on to describe a love of Hashem as it is concealed within one's intellect. Okay, so it's almost like it's in utero while it's being developed. And by the way, keep on feeding it, keep on nurturing it, keep on developing it. Because as soon as it's born, boom, suddenly we're in the middle of davening and I feel a tremendous love overtaking me. Where did it come from? Did it just happen like that? You worked on it all these years. Every time you thought and you had kavanah during davening and you thought of during Shemona Esrei, you're thinking of the words and you're trying to conjure up the love and whether it's a basic love or an intense love for Hashem. You're doing your shtadlus. You're doing what you could do. If it doesn't come out, okay, it's not ready to come out yet. That's what happens when the baby's born. It comes when it's ready. Now when you decide, you pick a date. No, when the baby's ready to come out, it'll come out. I know. This means that the heart comprehends with the wisdom, with the spirit of wisdom and understanding in the brain, meaning instead of being excited with love of Hashem, as it should be, the heart merely experiences an understanding of what? The heart understands the greatness of Hashem, before whom everything is nothing. Maybe again, it doesn't have the burning desire, but it understands the greatness of God. Have you ever finished davening and you're like, I thought I did everything right. I didn't feel it. You're doing your part. You understand the basic level, and that's good. Meanwhile, the love is developing. When it comes out, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great, but we might not be there yet. For this reason, it's fitting and due unto him the fact that the person knows greatness of Hashem. Not that he knows the greatness of Hashem, but he understands that there's a concept that Hashem is great and he wants to love Hashem. The actual burning fire of love is not there yet, but this reason is fitting and due unto him that Hashem, that the soul of every living thing should pine for him, to cleave to him and become absorbed in his light. That we know what our job is. We have to just put our best foot forward and do the best effort that we can. We got Mnashe v'Rucha shebekibekach yos salahem liyos kolos a love v'chashika v'chapetza lotzeis minartekon hu haguf ledavka boy. So it's fitting for his own soul, the nefesh and ruach within him, to languish for Hashem with a desire to leave their sheath, meaning to leave the body which surrounds and conceals the soul like a sheath, in order to cleave to him. So we have to put in the effort to desire. It's almost like we have this saying in yeshiva, I want to learn. I want to want. Do you want to learn? No, I don't want to learn, but I really want to want. Like I want to have that feeling to want to learn. That already is a great mila. That's already a big step. So intently his thoughts continue. Should his nefesh and his ruach long for Hashem, that only against their will do they dwell in the body. They're bound to it like deserted wives, literally living widows, who are bound to their husbands and are forbidden to marry as long as their husbands who left them are alive. If God forbid a husband leaves his wife, the wife cannot remarry until she either receives the get or she finds out that witnesses said that the husband passed away. So that's how we want to. That's the level we want to reach. We might not be at a level consciously that we want our souls to leave the body to cleave to God. And of course, here in this world is where we could do the mitzvahs. Hashem tells us, v'chai bohem. But to have the feeling that all I want to do is connect to Hashem. I don't want this physical body. I don't want to eat. I don't want to enjoy life. I just want to connect to Hashem. But right now, your thought can't grasp Hashem at all. except when it grasps and invests itself in the Torah and its mitzvahs. What can we understand? How do we connect to Hashem in this world where Hashem is hidden to us? Through learning Torah, through connecting to Torah. Hashem and the Torah are one. And doing a mitzvah that Hashem commands us. So by studying Torah and doing a mitzvah, a person could grasp at least an extension of Hashem, Hashem's will and His wisdom, which are one with Hashem. We mentioned this mashal earlier, that when somebody embraces the king, it could be that you didn't even touch the king's flesh. You just grabbed his robes, but you don't say, oh, I held on to the king's robes. I held on to the king. If a king extends his hands, let's say he has a white glove on and he has robes and a scepter, whatever, and you were able to touch the scepter or touch the glove or hug the king. Let's say in a case where king came over and embraced the person, you wouldn't hug the king, but the king hugged you. I hugged the king's clothes. No, you hugged the king. So when we invest ourselves in the Torah and in the mitzvahs, we're hugging the king. So as these things pass through our minds, it's fitting and it's proper to embrace Hashem with all our heart, soul, and might. Maybe we cannot connect to the invisible, unknowable, hidden Hashem, but we can connect to the tefillin that we're wearing, the mitzvah that we're doing, the Torah that we're learning. This is our way to connect to Hashem in a more tangible way. When we do a mitzvah with our thought, speech, and action, this is the comprehension and knowledge of the Torah. And as we've explained, that when one grasps the Torah, we grasp Hashem himself. So we can see that what motivates this person's actual performance of mitzvahs, it's not just that he likes to do this particular thing, it's that he wants to connect to Hashem. By the way, sometimes he doesn't even know it. Sometimes he doesn't even know it. You're being such a good boy. Why? I don't know. It makes me feel good, but I'm not sure, why I'm being so good today, why I did this, and that. Consequently, when the Beinoni thinks about this subject in his heart and in his mind, and his mouth and his heart are in sync, meaning what his heart feels finds full expression in his speech. He talks like a frum yid, a Torah yid. He thinks like a Torah yid. He acts appropriately. Shemekayim came befiv kefi asher nigmar. What does he do? He fulfills with his mouth and his speech. For example, he's saying Torah, learning Torah, davening with his mouth and lips and throat and teeth and tongue and everything else. And then his mind is also a part of that. He's saying words of Torah. He's repeating words of Torah during the day and at night. When a person, that's not just his mouth, his mind, but his hands and his feet. He's walking to shul, he's going home, he's washing his hands. Even if you're preparing bread or if you're opening up a book or whatever you're doing with your body, you're doing it, directing it towards connecting to Hashem. So then, when he implements this resolution, this tevuna, the intellectual emotion, which cannot be properly called love or fear, but tevuna literally means understanding, and is enclosed in the act, speech, and thought of the Torah and the mitzvahs, providing them with intellectual power and vitality. And then what happens? Wings enable them to soar higher. What are these wings? The Zohar says that Torah without love and fear doesn't fly up. Wings is the avas Hashem and yiras Hashem. So you could do a beautiful mitzvah, but if you do without kavanah, it can't spread its wings and fly. The love and the fear, referred to as tevuna, although not heartfelt emotions, these are basic love and basic fear. Nevertheless, they serve as wings for the Torah that you learned and the mitzvahs that you do. And in the same way as if you practice them with a real fear and love, so if you do it just on a basic level with a little bit of kavanah, you have love and fear, you want to get the credit, you're going to get the credit as if you had intense love and fear. And here in parentheses it says, Murgeshes beliboy v'nafshe yitzmea laHashem, hatzmea laHashem, v'pnei rishpei esha havasoi shebeliboy kiniskilel. Okay, in parentheses it says, in which case he would have performed them if you know how and he was capable. He would perform them with a desire, a fervor, and a passion that are felt in the heart and in the soul, thirsting for Hashem, like fiery flames of love of Hashem, as we've explained. And finally, the statement that the Tvuna love possesses this power requires further elucidation. We have to understand, what does it mean? It's this Tvuna in mind and in the recesses of his heart that leads him to engage in Torah mitzvahs, as explained above. Had a person not meditated on this basic love and fear of Hashem, even though it's not the highest level, then he would not have occupied himself at all with them, meaning with Torah mitzvahs, but he would worry about his own physical needs and pleasures. If a person is a very intense, Talmud Chacham, where he learns a lot, he'll learn because he enjoys learning. He'll learn because he gets to brag about it. It's going to be selfish versus dedicated to Hashem. So the takeaway for today, Chevra, is before you do a mitzvah, don't do it because it's something that you feel obligated to do. You're guilty. Your father's telling you to do it, or it's just something that it's habitual. It's something that you do every single day. Think about Hashem. Say to yourself, Hashem is great. I know I want to be connected with Him. I want to do it for Hashem, not for my own personal satisfaction. And doing this mitzvah will then be that embrace with Hashem. Doing that mitzvah means that you're connecting with Hashem in the most tangible way possible. That's it for today. Have a wonderful, amazing day.